Good morning. Friday, May 21st, 2010. I'm Dave, DaveInTheMorning.com. Welcome back. Hey, I went to see a movie last night. I went to see Russell Crowe's Robin Hood. I talked about it last week and I went to see it. And if you judge movies on stars, 5 stars being the best, 1 star being not so good, I'd say it's like maybe a 3. It was an average movie. Russell Crowe plays a kick-ass dude. He usually does, and he did in this movie. Robin Hood was this kind of a bad guy, and his band of merry men I thought was very well cast. Maid Marian was okay, and the casting was okay. I think what was lacking in this movie was they tried at times to make it really historically accurate in some ways. I mean, it's not a real story, right, guys? But they tried to make it historically accurate in some ways, and in some ways they made it really stupid, kind of childlike. So when they were editing the movie, they couldn't decide if they were going to have a really cool kind of adult movie or a really cool kind of kids movie. And so you have kind of the stuff intermixed. Now, it's not a movie that I take a young kid to see. But it's not a movie that's going to really wow the adults. I went with older people, so I didn't have the view of the 14-year-old boy there who might think it's a great movie, so I don't know. But our group, we thought it was okay. 3 out of 5 stars. You watch it, you're pretty intrigued, but it leaves you kind of flat at the end. And if you have nothing to do, it's probably the best movie out there right now. Go see it. If you have other things to do, or you don't want to waste your money on a movie, wait till it comes out on DVD and go watch it at home at Netflix or go down to Blockbuster. Whatever the way you watch movies, wait for that. Okay? Another review, I read Tim Dorsey's A Gator A Go-Go. Now, Tim Dorsey's written a bunch of books about Florida travel. I would not call them tourist books. I would call them Madman on a Killing Rampage Who's a Genius books. And the character that I'm referring to is a guy named Serge Storms. And Serge is a hoot. These are some of the funniest books you will ever read. And this one, Gator A Go-Go, is just another in a long series of books that he's written about this. Now, Tim Dorsey is a writer, was a newspaper writer / editor down in Florida, and his knowledge of Florida is huge. And he's passed this knowledge on to the main character, Serge Storms, who happens to be a genius, psychopathic mass murderer who runs around with coke whores and drug addicts. It's a great read. If you like laughing out loud while you're reading, read one of Tim Dorsey's books. I highly recommend Gator A Go-Go. But if you don't want to spend your money on a hardback, sorry Tim, save it. Just go down to a bunch of them paperback at your store, at your local Barnes & Noble, pick up a copy of one of Tim Dorsey's books, and laugh your ass off. It looks like the oil spill is still an oil spew. Even though they put that little pipe in the big pipe, it's still coming out at a great rate. In fact, this should come as a shock. It's shocking that British Petroleum actually misled us about how much was coming out of the ground. Now, they probably had some idea how much oil was coming through this pipe because they were pumping it. So maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't. Okay, I'll give British Petroleum the benefit of the doubt. Pictures of the spew in the Gulf are showing a lot of oil coming out into our ecosystem. The worst disaster, natural disaster, environmental impact in U.S. history. Take that to the bank, BP. And hey, government, nice job with the response. You're really giving a lot of credit to yourselves. The way you're reacting to this is why people think government can't do anything. Now, I know you're not ready for this. We all know you weren't ready for this. We all know that you let the oil companies tell you what they need to be regulated on and not regulated on, and this is what happened. There's a lesson here during this banking regulation thing, guys. Big companies sometimes need to be saved from themselves. Again, industry sometimes need to be saved from itself, which saves us. So if British Petroleum, if there was regulations that may have costed a little bit more on British Petroleum and these other oil companies as they drill offshore, maybe we could have mitigated some of the impact of this spew. But because we didn't do that, we're not. And maybe if they regulate the banking industry correctly this time and the way the stock market works, we'll be able to mitigate some of the damages that happen when there's irresponsible behavior by people that handle money, by people that handle energy. Sometimes it's up to us to save ourselves. Okay, so here we sit, we've got oil spewing out, and again we have this, the economic markets of the world in complete and utter chaos. All right, the market's down again, it's a bear market maybe, down 10%, and it's kind of volatile right now. The Eurozone's a mess, we're a mess, China this, it's a mess. So maybe if we would have regulated a little bit more, it would have controlled it. There's a flip side to regulation. You don't get the great growth out of it. You just don't. So we have to decide as a society what we want. If we want a little bit more regulation and maybe limit some of the growth, and at the same time limit some of the damage. It's kind of like investing. I'm going to go with this aggressive growth stock or fund, and I can make a lot of money. And that's true. Or I could lose money really fast, and that's true too. Or I could go for this bond that makes a steady amount of money. I don't have the downside, but I don't have the real upside. So maybe, like our investment advisors tell us, we kind of do a combination of both. All right, so we can capitalize on the peaks up, but we mitigate our losses when bad things happen. Right? Maybe that's the role of government. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just our role to help industry help us. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of big government. I don't like it at all, actually. I don't like government telling me what to do. I don't like government telling me I have to wear a seatbelt or wear a motorcycle helmet or what age my kids have to be to drink in my house. I don't like that. I don't like it. In the same token, government tells gay guys that they can be married or not married. Right? Government tells them. And here you have a bunch of guys running, women and men running around, and 1,000 years ago there was 2 to 10% or whatever the percent you want to use, people were gay. And today there's 2 to 10% people that are gay. And 1,000 years from now there's going to be 2 to 10% of people that are gay. Yet we're going to discriminate against these people forever because you know what? The dogmas that we follow say what their behavior is bad. And you know, I'll be honest with you, sometimes the behavior I look at it and I don't like it. I don't like it either. But that doesn't mean they don't like the people. Why do you think it's a choice? I don't think it is. I think you're gay or you're not gay. So I don't want to punish someone who's gay because he's or she is stuck being gay. So maybe as a society we just have to move on, and the gay marriage thing isn't an issue. If you don't like calling it marriage, then let's not call it marriage. Let's call it something else. The rights and responsibilities of being a couple, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think most Americans have a problem with that. So let's move on and do that. On the same token, the gays in the military thing. I'll talk to the younger generation. They don't have a problem with it. It's my generation and older that has a problem with the gays in the military. We're stuck in the past. Like, hey, that's awful. You know what? You'd be blackmailed by the Soviet Union if they found out you were gay. I don't think so. There's no Soviet Union, and I don't think anybody's going to give anybody money to say they're not gay. Unless, of course, you're a congressman. And you're a way to the right congressman, and you are gay. And you got caught tapping your foot or with some page or whatever. So, you know, people come down hard on you because had the page scandal not too long ago where congressmen were taking advantage of the pages. And if you don't know what a page is, it's a teenager who goes down to Washington, D.C., kind of interns, and when congressmen ask for stuff, the pages run papers down. Anyway, they do some other stuff. There was talk of not letting pages go to D.C. anymore, not having pages in D.C. who've been there forever helping these congressmen and women out, because our congressmen are such pervs. I mean, people are really saying, hey, we don't want to have pages go to D.C. because you know what? The people in Congress are perverted. Our elected officials that represent us are so perverted and so disgusting that we don't want our teenagers to be around them. Really? Is that where we come? And these are the same guys that, whatever. So anyway, the stock market's in turmoil. British Petroleum sucks. The government isn't doing crap to fix it. I read a really good book, Gator a Go-Go. Russell Crowe's movie is pretty average. And Congress, you're pervs. Have a great weekend. I'm Dave, daveinthemorning.com, and we'll see you again on Monday.